Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hero Insight. I'm George, and joining me is my brilliant analytical partner, Emma. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to look at the roots of what we call the state and power.
Hi, George. Well, today's topic might sound like a history lesson, but I promise it's much spicier than that. This is the story of all of us, from the Stone Age to the age of AI.
Exactly. Our topic is from survival to power. How we went from just trying to stay alive to building these massive power structures. Emma, would you believe it? People back then didn't group together because they had some grand vision of a beautiful civilization. It was purely out of fear and necessity.
Absolutely. Just imagine being all alone in the wild. You run into a predator the size of a house, or the weather turns and you can't find food. You're basically dead. Early humans were forced to group up just to survive. It was the original economies of scale, the prehistoric version.
Spot on. Once they grouped up, they started dividing the work. This person hunts. This person stands guard. This person looks after the kids. It was a survival strategy. But the global turning point happened about 10,000 years ago during the Neolithic Revolution. Once we started controlling food production, we didn't just have enough for the day. We suddenly had a surplus.
And that leftover food, George, was the ultimate game changer. Because once you have a surplus, you start accumulating. Once you accumulate, you need power to manage it. You get social classes, leaders to make decisions, priests to connect with the supernatural, and a militia to guard the assets. From tiny villages, we evolved into states. Today, we have nearly 200 sovereign states in the UN.
But, Emma, now that we have states and clear borders, why hasn't conflict decreased? It feels like it's actually getting more complex and violent.
Ah, that's the great irony. Once humans start drawing lines and saying, "This is my territory," it automatically creates a psychological wall between us and them. The closer you are, the easier it is to fight over resources, whether it's water or farmland.
Oh, is that what they call the security dilemma? Like, if I build my fence higher to feel safe, my neighbor thinks, wait, is George building a secret weapon to attack me? So he builds his fence even higher. Eventually, everyone is paranoid and stockpiling weapons, even though nobody actually wanted to start a fight in the first place.
Correct. And geography dictates destiny too. If you're on a strategic point or have massive resources, like the Middle East holding nearly 50% of the world's oil, everyone wants a piece of the action. IMF data shows that countries relying solely on natural resources have economies 3 to 4 times more volatile than the global average.
And when they can't handle a nearby power on their own, they pull in a global superpower from the outside, right? Like SIPRI stats show, U.S. military spending alone is nearly 40% of the entire world. Small states have to bring them in to create a balance of power just to survive.
Yes, but it's painful. Sometimes it's a trade-off. Giving up some sovereignty to protect the leader's seat in politically fragile countries. Opening up to outside influence becomes a guarantee for the regime's survival. It's the classic prisoner's dilemma, George.
Wait a second, Emma. This prisoner's dilemma, I've heard the name before. What exactly is it? It sounds a bit ominous.
Don't worry, George. Simply put, it's a situation where people are forced to choose personal survival, even if it makes the overall outcome worse for everyone. Imagine 2 prisoners interrogated in separate rooms. If they both cooperate and stay silent, they both get a very light sentence or go free.
Well, that sounds easy. Why not just stay quiet?
The problem is trust. Because if the other guy decides to betray you and confesses first, he goes free while you rot in jail alone. In geopolitics, it's the same. Even if states know that cooperating or disarming is best, they don't know if the other side will betray them tomorrow. So they choose to betray first to prevent themselves from being the one who loses everything.
I get it now. So basically, because I'm afraid they'll betray me, I have to betray them first. And in the end, it's a race that's hard to quit, and everyone gets hurt. Even though we know shaking hands would be cheaper, we just can't do it because of fear.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about inequality. George, have you ever wondered why, in a world where might is right, we still shout for equality? Realistically, wouldn't the one with the advantage just want to keep their benefits forever?
Right, from a realism perspective, if you're rich, you'd want to lock in your position. Let everyone else be equal. Just let me stay on top first.
Strategically, creating a system that looks equal actually lowers the cost of conflict. Imagine if you were filthy rich in a sea of starving people. How much would you have to pay for bodyguards? Creating rules that seem fair is a strategic tool for the powerful to keep their interests long-term without having to use force all the time.
Oh, so it reduces transaction costs. Plus, if you let the winner-takes-all strategy run to the end, the system loses its spark. World Bank data shows that where inequality is too high, the GDP becomes fragile because no one has money left to buy what the rich are producing.
Yes, 2024 Oxfam reports say the top 1% own more wealth than the other 99% combined. That kind of extreme inequality is a fuse for self-destruction. Calling for equality is actually a human adaptation mechanism to keep the system from collapsing.
And if everyone thinks, let me taste being rich first, then we can talk about equality, how does the world end?
The world enters a state of entropy, total collapse. Everyone competes to build walls to block new players just to lock in their own status. Social mobility dies. Eventually, the younger generation chooses not to have children. The system runs out of labor and everything crumbles together. It's the tragedy of the commons in its wealth version.
Wow, and this has spread to the digital age too, right? Now superpowers don't just control land, they control platforms, big data, and AI.
Absolutely. Data is the new oil. Whoever has the most data can dictate the behavior of the whole world. Plus, there's the monopoly on high-end chips. This is digital sovereignty, the new battlefield to maintain an advantage forever, all under the mask of innovation.
So, in short, power and sovereignty aren't static. They are strategic resources that must be negotiated and guarded to find a balance between our own survival and global stability.
And that balance shifts according to the interest of whoever is writing the rules.
Crystal clear, Emma. For anyone who wants more or wants to check out the full stats and analysis, head over to herothailand.com. We've got plenty of deep dives like this. That's all for me and Emma today. See ya!
Goodbye.